personality. The question that you should ask yourself first, why personality? Why do you have to study about personality? What comes into your mind when you hear the concept personality? So remember that you, as aspiring psychologist, you will see clients on daily basis. You will be consulting. So each and every session, each and every session that you conduct as different people with different personality. So when the persons come to you with a concern that may be hammering her life or his studies, personality, individual's personality, you should consider individual's personality. You might find that certain people are experiencing certain challenges, not because the challenges, however, because of their personality. We have different personalities. At times we attract certain tensions. The way you approach life, the way you talk to people, the way you organize yourself due to your personality. So as a psychologist, when you counsel people, when you talk to people, you should consider individual's personality because we differ. Remember, you can't apply one solution to different people. I come to you as a client. Siyabonga comes to you as a client. It's having problem with managing relationships. You apply a solution to me. You facilitate change in my life, and it goes well. I manage to conquer the relationship management. However, the strategy that you applied to Siyabonga won't work to Kiabetwe because they have different personality. You have to study about different personality. You can't facilitate a session. You can't deal with your employees without knowing their personality. We are unique. We differ. Hence, personality. Personality is the most important aspect in human. Personality, concept, personality and health, personality and theories. So for you to master this chapter, you need to know what is personality. Number one, what is personality? What do you understand about the concept personality? Where does it come from? Personality and health, personality theorist. Before we continue, I'm going back. I want to talk to you. In your understanding, what is personality? I know already you've studied personality. In your understanding, what is personality?
I would really like to think that personality, it has a way to do with how you behave, how you feel, how you portray yourself to others.
Okay, that's a good one. How you behave, how you feel, how you portray yourself to others. That's a good one. Thanks very much. Another one. Thanks, Pumeza. Tando wrote something on the chat. Says personality refers to characteristics peculiar to an individual. Personality refers to characteristics peculiar to individual. That's a big English. Peculiar to individuals. Thanks about that. Yes, personality refers to different characteristics that defines an individual that are unique to individuals. Okay, let's continue. Let me give you another definition. Both the definitions from Pumes and Tando are correct. Let me continue with the definitions, the ones that I prepared for you. Personality concepts. Personality concepts, these are aspects that makes up a personality. Let's start with the first one, personality. Personality is what makes people who they are through the sum of all physical, personality, and spiritual characteristics that influence the behavior of an individual. Personality, it's what makes people who they are through the sum. It's what makes people unique. They say through the sum of all physical, psychological, and spiritual characteristics that influence the behavior of individuals. What do they mean when they say some of physical? What do they mean when they say some of psychological and spiritual? Let's go through these concepts, you'll understand. A person's value, character. When you say you have character, a person's value or moral attributes that are influenced by education and experience in the social environment. When people say you have character, Nadine has a character. What do they mean? No, she can do this because she has a character. So a character is influenced by your belief system, your values. When they say you can stand for what you believe in, that's a character. That's how we see you. Let's assume that you are friends, you go for clubbing. So now and again, when you go for clubbing, you'll encounter certain things. Certain things could be drugs, going out with strangers, at times illegal doings. I'm not saying clubs only attracts negative things. I'm making an example. So when you encounter those things, so it's up to you whether you choose to join or not. So most of the time, when you stand for what you believe in, you say, no, I won't do this because my values don't allow it. I came here alone, I'll go home alone. I came here with friends, I'll go with friends. It's something that you believe in, is a standard that you believe, or the moral attributes. Remember, moral attributes is determining what is wrong and right. That's a character. Character is part of your what? Personality. He or she has a character. He speaks up. Her character, you know that he speaks up. He doesn't hold grudges. He shows character. He works hard. He shows a character. Then you have temperament. So in this case, we say character is spiritual characteristics. Your character is influenced by spiritual characteristics. Then temperament. Temperament has to do with a person's emotional aspects, psychological and biological. That is physical and psychological. Temperament has to do with person's emotional aspects, psychological and spiritual. Your emotional aspects is something that you are born with. Perhaps you know you as a sensitive person or an aggressive person. You are easily angered by something. Or you are just calm, you like smiling. Temperament are the traits, the core character that you are born with. If you are not born with, it is influenced by the environment. You are born with, we'll say, it's biological. You know that your parents, your mother is sensitive, and you as a child, because of the genes, the heredity, you are also a sensitive type. When something happens, you cry. It's something that you took from your mother. It's hereditary. It's biological. That's what you mean. When you say physical, some of the physical, just an example, that you are born with certain characteristics. Certain characteristics perhaps could be unique from a family, or certain things that you take from your parents, genes and heredity. Temperament has to do with a person's emotional aspects, psychological and physical. Traits are stable individuals' qualities like shyness, talkative, friendly, and sociable. We know that certain individuals are shy naturally. When they describe you, they say, Kiabe she's a very shy person. We say that because we know her core character is shyness. Whether she can stand in front of people and do presentation, however, we know that the corners, shyness is there. Then we have people who are talkative. We know that they are talkative by nature. Those are traits, that's their strength, that's their core being, which makes what? Personality. Some people are introverts, some extroverts. Self-concept. Your personality is influenced by how you see yourself. That is ideas, perception, feelings about oneself and yourself. Like Pumeta said, feelings, ideas, perception about oneself and self. So self-concept is influenced by how you think, how you see yourself. If you see yourself as a very confident person, or if you see yourself as a very beautiful person, even when you walk, that's what comes into your mind. Let's assume that you wake up in the morning, you dress very nice, or you just wake up, wear your pajamas, and go to the shop. Chances are, when people look at you with a certain eye, in your mind will say, oh, they're looking at my pajamas. It's fine. What's that? That's your self-concept. That is how you see yourself. You wake up to pass a group of people, then they are smiling, staring at you without frowning. They're just smiling. In your mind, you tell yourself that, yes, I really look good today. They see what I'm seeing. That is your self-concept. That's what you have told yourself. When you do your presentation at in the workplace, people are smiling, clapping hands. What does that tells you? That you're good, you're really doing your job. That's your self-concept. That's what you have told yourself, that I want to go there and impress. So that's your personality. How you see yourself is influenced by your personality, is influenced by how you see yourself. A state of being confident, proud, having self-respect. So let's go back. Personality. Personality is what makes people who they are. Through the sum, who they are, self-concept, self-confidence, through the sum of all physical traits, things that you're born with, temperaments, some more physical, psychological, again, the feelings. The feeling is psychological, emotions, spiritual characteristics. They are referring to the character. So all of these form part of this explanation. It was made people who they are through the sum of all physical, psychological, spiritual characteristics that influence the behavior of an individual. That is personality. So with personality, how you act, how you do things are influenced by your personality, how you see yourself, how you conduct yourself, your emotions, your inborn abilities, your character. Hope you understand one another. Let's continue. Personality and health, which is the most important one. Personality and health. Personality and health.
Sorry, sir, to disturb you. Please,
yes.
Don't forget to change the slide. The slide is on personality only for a long time.
Okay, yeah, I've just changed it now.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Now we are on personality and health. Personality and health is divided into two sessions. That is personality and stress, strategies for reducing hostility. Personality and stress, strategies for reducing hostility. Let's start with personality and health. Again, they give us an explanation of what is personality in relation to stress. Personality is one of the contributing factors that affect our ability to cope with stress due to certain personality types. Personality type alone cannot lead to a disease, but it acts as a catalyst to a disease. As I mentioned in the beginning, that when you go for a counseling session, definitely your therapist will focus on your personality, because your personality might contribute to the way you deal with the situation. Your personality might contribute to the way you handle stress. Hence, when you go to a physician, let's forget about therapist now. You go to a physician. Let's assume that you have been recently diagnosed with hypertension, BP. You go to the doctor, your GP now and again. They must emphasize that do not stress. All the doctors will tell you, do not stress. Relax, you'll be fine. Because they know that stress is a biggest contributor to your health. Do not stress, they emphasize that. Because when you stress, your body becomes tense. The more your body becomes tense, it influences any disease that is affecting you. So personality is one of the contributing factors that affect our ability to cope with stress due to certain personality types. Personality type alone cannot lead to a disease. However, they are just correcting us here by saying not that personality causes your disease. It is not that your personality may lead to your disease. However, personality acts as a catalyst to the disease. Personality influences what? The disease. What do they mean by that? Perhaps to some, this statement doesn't make sense. What do they mean by that? Remember, our personality differs. For instance, we have people who are aggressive in nature. We have perfectionists. That's your personality. You are known as someone who likes order, perfectionist. You are known as a person that is relaxed. Some people are not relaxed naturally. When there's something that needs to be done, they go all out to do it without even resting. That's the difference. To explain this further, we have what? Type A personality, type B personality, and hard personality. Let's check type A personality. Type A personality, individuals who strive hard for success in everything they do. Type A personality are individuals who strive hard in everything that they do. They sense agency. They have a sense of agency, hostility, very competitive, achievement-oriented. They say these people are at high risk of experiencing heart attack. Why is that? They say individuals who strive hard for success in everything they do, they have a sense of agency. These are perfectionists, hostility, very competitive, and achievement-oriented. Normally, these people hold high positions in the company. Some they don't high position in the company. However, they go all out to achieve without even delegating. They like to do things themselves. You know those people. Let's help you. They say, no, I will do it. Whether he or she achieves or not, but regardless, he or she will do things alone. Always their emotions are high. Remember, stress has to do with your intensity. You experience high intensity of emotions, high anxiety. These people have high anxiety most of the time because they don't relax. They're always stressed. So once your body experiences that stress on a constant basis, it's not normal for your body to experience anxiety the whole day or consistently. It's not normal for your body to experience a high volume of stress, you experience fatigue, you get tired. Your body tells you that relax. However, you continue. So biologically, as I explained under stress management, PYC 1502, when you experience stress, what happens to your body is that basically when you experience continuous stress at times which leads to what? Depression. When you experience consistent stress, your body becomes tense. You will see, even in some people's face, that you're not well. It's easy to see some people that you're not well. What is eating you? Because it shows facially. So what happens to the body physiologically inside? We have blood vessels which transport blood from one place to another. Your heart needs blood, oxygen to pump. However, when you experience consistent stress, tension in your body, the blood vessels that transport oxygen and blood, they become narrow. They become tiny because you are tense. When you are happy, blood flow. Hence, you need to exercise in order to make sure that your blood flow is smooth. You exercise, you drink water, you become happy, then the blood flow. When they play in Venek, when they play to it, they say igazi lagijima. In short, there's enough blood flow. It means that there's enough blood flow. However, when you are tense, there won't be enough blood flow because you are closing your blood vessels. So the transportation of blood and oxygen becomes narrow, limited to the heart. Hence, later people will experience what? Blood clots. Blood clots, which is a fatty substance that developed in your nerves, blood vessels. Suddenly, you experience what? Heart attack. So they say most of these people who are experiencing this, they have high anxiety, they experience consistent stress, sense of urgency, they're always looking forward to achieve certain things without the help of others. They are perfectionists, they are hostile, they are very competitive, they are achievement oriented. That is type A personality. I hope you are clear. Then B, moderate level related, not at risk of heart attack. So these people type B personality, yes, they want to achieve, they are success driven. However, the difference is that they know when to stop. They can delegate. They don't do things on their own. They are relaxed. We know these people. If you can't achieve something, they just leave it like that. I'll see it tomorrow. They don't stress themselves. At times we blame them. That so and so is so lazy. At times so lazy, so relaxed. That's their personality. They don't like pressure. They don't like to experience anxiety. They are relaxed type personality. That is type B people. They say they are not at risk of heart attack because their health comes first. Even whether they know about their health or not, but their health comes first because they are at the moderate level. They are relaxed. Then we have what? Hardy personality. Hardy personality are similar to type A, but they have a sense of personal commitment, sense of control, and tendency to see life as a challenge, not a threat. That is type A. So type hardy personality, they say they are same as type A personality, success-driven, hostile, they have a sense of urgency, they are competitive. But the difference is that they have a sense of personal commitment. By personal commitment, their family, they put their family first. They can work Monday to Friday, they can work from 8 to 4, but they know 4 o'clock that they need to attend to their personal lives. They have a sense of control. If they can't do their work, They know when to stop and focus on themselves. Personality and stress. Personality is one of the contributing factors that affect our ability to cope with stress due to certain personality types. Personality types alone cannot lead to a disease, but act as a catalyst to a disease. I made an example that imagine you go for a counseling session to a therapist. When you go to a therapist, let's say you are experiencing challenges that hammer your personal lives or challenges that hammer your studies. Most of the time, they will emphasize that stop stressing, or been diagnosed. Or let's say you've been diagnosed with hypertension, BP. The doctors, whether physician, your GP, most will emphasize that stop stressing, because the more you stress, your stress will negatively affect your well-being. Your stress will negatively affect your well-being. Yes. However, personality alone cannot lead to a disease, but it acts as a catalyst to a disease. Personality alone cannot lead to a disease, but it acts as a catalyst. They are saying not that personality causes disease. Personality won't cause headache. Personality won't cause your BP. Personality cannot lead to heart attack. However, your personality may influence that disease. Let's assume that you have BP. Your personality will act as a contributing factor to your disease through stress. Then I explain what do I mean by stress can cause too much tension to the disease. I said to you, when your body is tense, when you experience consistent stress, which at times might lead to depression, your body becomes tense. Once your body becomes tense, it closes your blood vessels. It affects the movement of blood and oxygen through your blood vessels. When you are tense or when something is stressing you, we can easily see it on your face as well. Yes, people will ask you, Sia, are you okay? What's happening? Are you okay? Because we can see you, the way you behave, facial, you can see it. Why is that you can see it? It's because your body is tense. Once your body is tense, it affects certain physiological aspects in your body. By physiological, it means your blood vessels, your mood. Once your mood is affected, certain things happen in your body. Once you're stressed consistently for a long period of time, certain things happen in your body, like your blood vessels, your nerve becomes what? Narrow. They become thin. Once they become thin, the blood flow and oxygen won't move, won't move swift, won't move the way it's supposed to move. And you might experience what? The blood clot. The blood clot is a fatty substance that is developed through your veins, your blood vessels. Once you experience blood clot, that fatty layer substance, there won't be enough flow of blood throughout your body, particularly your heart. Your heart to function, it needs a circulation of blood, it needs a circulation of oxygen. However, if you experience intense stress for a long period of time, that's when you experience high blood pressure. That's where you might lead to depression. That's where you might experience heart attack. That is type A personality. Type A personality, they say, individuals who strive hard for success in everything that they do. They sense agency and hostility, very competitive and achievement-oriented. Type A personality, individuals who strive hard for success in everything they do. They sense agency. They have a sense of agency. So this individual, like I said, they are perfectionist. Mostly they hold high positions in the company. They want to do things themselves. It depends on your personality though. You want to do things yourself. You don't delegate. You want to achieve. You don't sleep. You want to achieve. It means that your body is constantly experiencing what? Anxiety. Your body is constantly experiencing stress. Because your emotions are always at high level. That is type A personality. They are most likely to experience what? High risk of heart attack. That's what they are saying. They're at risk of experiencing heart attack because their emotions are always high. In comparison to type B personality. Type B personality, moderate and relaxed. Moderate level and relaxed. They are not at high risk of experiencing personal. So this individual less types of yes, they are working, they are success driven, they are achievement oriented. However, they are relaxed. If they can't achieve something, it's fine. They will see tomorrow. These individual times people see them as lazy, as not being ambitious. However, they accept what life brings to them. They know how to share information. So these people they are not at risk of experiencing what? Heart attack. Then we have what? Hardy personality. Hardy personality is an opposite of type A. They say they are similar, not an opposite. They are similar to a type A personality, but they have a sense of personal commitment, sense of control, and a tendency to see life as a challenge, not as a threat. So these people, they are similar to type A personality. They are success driven, they have a sense of agency, they are perfectionist, competitive, success oriented. But the difference is that they have a sense of personal commitment. They consider their life outside of work. They consider their family, personal commitment, that is their family. They can work 8 to 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, they knock off. They go home to focus on their family. Weekends, focus on their family, focus on their life. Chances they go for gym to manage their body. They have a sense of control. Sense of control, as soon as things get too much, they know how to manage them. Whether by delegating, talking to other people to do things, maybe consulting. They see life as a challenge, not as a threat. They see life as a challenge, not as a threat. So they consider their well-being. That is hardy personality. They are unlikely to experience what? Heart attack. They are unlikely to experience certain diseases that are influenced by personality and stress. So it's type A personality, type B, and hardy personality. So the difference is that type A personality, they say have a sense of agency, hostility, very competitive achievement, whereas hardy personality, even though they are perfectionists, sense of agency, they consider their personal commitment, they have a sense of control, and they see life as a challenge, not as a threat. Moving on, strategies to reduce hostility. What I like about this module is that they give you problems and solutions. So these are the solutions. They say to you, review your thoughts, anger, hostility, in the journal or diary. So it's important to do self-reflection now and again. You write your points down, you consult, you also speak to someone. Learn to interrupt hostile thoughts. Learn to interrupt hostile thoughts. If you are in that position, you're experiencing hostile thoughts, let's say learn to interrupt, perhaps by reading a book, going for a jog, do self-reflection, be empathic, learn to laugh at yourself. So it's important to laugh at your problems. Before people laugh at you, learn to laugh at your problem. That is reduces tension. If you make a mistake, know that you made a mistake. Learn to relax, practice trusting people. Practice, this is the most important. Practice trusting people because you cannot do everything by yourself. Make an effort to listen carefully to other people. Learn to make your point without being aggressive. Do not let small irritation get into your way and pretend that today is the best day. We all have shortcomings. In life, we all have what? Shortcomings. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, personality theories. These are personality theories. Remember, we mentioned about traits. That traits, within your personality, we have traits. Traits are your biological aspects, your inner being, by Allport. Allport traits theory. For you to master this module, you need to know about the different type of theories. Allport states that the best way to understand and predict people's behavior was to find out what they value and what they strive for. It states that the best way to understand and predict people's behavior was to find out what they value and what they strive for. Allport trait theory. In short, it says the best way to understand people's behavior is to know about their personality. The best way to know about people's behavior is to know about their values. That is Allport. In order to explain Allport's theory, we need to focus on what? Cartel source traits. Cartel source traits. Whatever that I'm discussing here, you will find in your study units. This is just a summary. Cartels wanted to learn how traits were linked and began by studying visible aspects of personality and surface traits. Cartel wanted to learn how traits were linked and began by studying visible aspects of personality and surface traits. Let's go back here. Allport number 1 under trait theory. Remember, traits are your core personal characteristics. Your shyness is part of trait because something that you're born with, chances are it doesn't change. Being talkative, we know you since you were young that you're talkative, meaning that's your strength. You're a friendly person. You are sensitive. That's your core aspect that you're born when you grow up with. Allport stated that the best way to understand and predict people's behavior was to find out what they value and what they strive for. Then 1.2 web Cartel's source of traits. Cartel wanted to learn. So Cartel wanted to learn how traits were linked and began by studying visible aspects of personality and surface. That's what you need to know. Their purpose, their meaning. Then moving to 1.3. The 5-factor model of personality. The 5-factor model of personality: extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and openness. These are 5 factors. 5-factor theory. Some they call it the big fives. The big 5. The 5-factor model of personality. Extroversion means how introverted and how extroverted a person is. How introverted and extroverted a person is. Agreeableness has to do with one's friendliness, nurturing, caring compared to being cold, indifferent, spiteful, and self-centered. Consciousness, how self-disciplined, responsible, and achieving. Neuroticism, how negative, having upset emotions, anxious and unhappy. Openness has to do with how intelligent, imaginative, and open to new ideas. So multiple choice questions, they must say to you, the 5-factor model of personality. Which one is incorrect? Which one is explained incorrect? They include all the 5. They give them explanations. Then they say to you, which one is explained incorrectly? So you need to know that the first one has to do with determines how introverted and how extroverted. The second one has to do with your friendliness, nurturing, caring. Third one has to do with self-discipline, responsible, and achieving. Fourth, how negative, the thin line between being anxious and unhappy. The last one, how intelligent, imaginative, and open to new ideas. That's how we do well ask questions. Or they might include 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The fourth one, they explain something that is not under 5-factor theory. They say which one is incorrect. So you need to know that the 5-factor theory has to do with these 5 aspects and their explanation, just in case the questions come. Hope that we are clear. Let's move on. Let's move on to other theories that influence personality. Other theories that influence personality. The psychoanalytic approach. We mentioned trait, now is psychoanalytic approach. They say the psychodynamic theory arises from discontent, which is examining personality traits as a way of understanding behavior. Psychodynamics, they say, arises from discontent, which is examining personality traits as a way of understanding behavior. They also believe in what the traits. For you to understand a person, you need to know the traits of the individual. Psychodynamic theories try to probe under the surface of personality to examine what makes us behave the way we do. That is psychoanalytical. They are assessing the surface of personality, examining how do people behave the way they do. How do people behave the way they do? They go to Fred. They called Fred. Fred was a medical doctor on the basis of talking to his patients about their thoughts and feelings. He concluded that ill health resulted from conflict between sexuality and aggressiveness. The central theme of Fred's theory is that behavior is the outcome of the wishes, desires, feelings that people are unaware of. In other words, they are so-called unconscious thoughts. So let's repeat this. According to Fred, as a medical doctor, he says, the ill health of people. Why do people become ill? Why do people experience certain diseases? He says it's due to the fact that there's a conflict between their sexuality and aggressiveness, which is what is influenced by what unconscious thoughts. They are not aware that their thoughts or their challenges, their difficulties influences what their inner being. How does that can happen? Freud says we have what? Sexual instinct, ego instinct, and hostility instinct. The sexual instinct This influence the experiences and behavior that generates pleasure. A typical example here will be, we can use animals. You know, animals during mating season, they become aggressive. For instance, an elephant during mating season, they fight. They are protective. You'll find them hitting trees, breaking down trees. And you don't want to see yourself near an elephant during mating season because they become aggressive. Same applies to any certain animal. During mating season, they fight for mating. So that's a typical example of aggressive behavior. They say sexual intensity. This influence experiences and a behavior that generates a pleasure. But we humans, we can manage ourselves mostly compared to animals. Then we have what ego instinct. The ego instinct, this influence experience, behavior associated with what? Preservation of the self. Ego instinct, this influence experience and behavior associated with preservation of the self. Then we have what? Hostility instinct. This influence aggressive experience and behavior. So according to Freud theories, these three, sexual intensity, our ego, and hostility, what to do with aggressive, influences the way we behave. Where do they come from? They come from our traits. He basically says at times we act in a certain way due to unconscious instinct. We are not aware. We act differently due to unconscious instinct. When someone says you have an ego, he or she means that you are full of yourself. And that's how we explain it in a layman language. That's how we explain it. But you are not aware of that. People try to help you, you don't want to be helped. Because that's something within you. You believe that you can do things yourself. Then hostility instinct, you are born with it. Hostility instinct, you are born aggressive as individuals. We don't learn to be aggressive. At times you are born with it. It's when somebody takes something away from you, like kids, babies, when you take a toy away or something that might injure him or her, they become aggressive. They cry. They try to hold back to that object because they don't see danger. Meaning you are born hostile. You are born aggressive. It's an instinctual thing. Until we grow up, we learn that this is the danger. Sexual aggressivity, you are born with it. There is a need for sex. It's something that you are born with it. You don't just learn. The benefits which as humans, we have cognitive capacity, we can think, we can reason, compared to animals. Most of the animals, they don't know a reasoning part. When they want something, they fight for it. That's it. That's a reasoning aspect. Yes, they say mostly it's unconscious. It's an unconscious instinct because you are born with it. For now, let's focus on it and move on. The ID, ego, and superego. It's a continuation. The ID, ego, and superego. According to Freud, this is a continuation from Freud. Remember, Freud mentioned sexual instinct, hostility, and aggressive, that you are born with certain instinct. Hence, we are aggressive. They say ego. Ego refers to the innate biological impulse and edges. These impulses are unconscious, irrational, and self-serving. They demand immediate, are uncontrollable. Desire for food, desire for sex, desire to hurt someone. According to Freud theory, within our personality, we have certain things that are uncontrollable. As long as you are unaware of them, they are uncontrollable. Let's use an example of what? Of food. When you are hungry, you are hungry. You need to eat. It's something that you are born with. When you don't eat, performance will reduce. So we are born with a desire to eat for food. That is immediate gratification. They demand immediate gratification, desire for food. As soon as you get food, you become relaxed. They say, oh, sex to humans is manageable. Not that it's uncontrollable. However, to animals, it's uncontrollable. They fight to get it. It's a desire within them. That is ugly. They say impulses need it now. Animals fight. It's war. When you watch National Geographic or when you're familiar with animals, they want it now. Humans is controllable. They say desire to hurt someone. When we are angry, first thing that comes, when someone wants to fight you, first thing that comes, it will fight. It will fight as well. We are born with that aggressiveness. Or when people are fighting, you try to break up a fight. You become aggressive as well. You don't break up the fight slightly. You become aggressive as well. You go in and push them aside. You fight by holding the person back. That's what you are born with. That's what ID is. We have that aggressiveness within us. Then there's the ego. The ego refers to the executive part of the self that regulates the expression of ID, instinct, energy. The ego is in touch with reality and can foresee the consequence of behavior. The ego is part of the system of thinking, planning, and problem solving. It has conscious control of the self. However, ID, they say ID is unconscious, uncontrollable. That's why they say. In the first instance, ID is impulses, uncontrollable impulses. But ego is what is conscious. You are aware of what you are doing. This is due to the fact that you have learned certain things. You have consciousness. You can feel guilt. Once you feel guilt or you have learned certain things, you can manage. They say ego is part of the system of thinking. Here you think, you plan, problem solving. When you're about to do something, you think of the consequences. The ego is in touch with reality and can foresee the consequences of the behavior. Someone is fighting you. ID says, fight back. The ego says, no. If I fight back, I can get arrested or I can get hurt. Rather, let's be civil. Let's solve the problem. Let's think about it. Let's plan. That is the ego. You see the difference. There's an ego aspect by lazy person. Someone who didn't study psychology, he or she sees ego as an attitude. Some people that see themselves. They see ego as a negative aspect of human being. No, he or she has an ego. However, psychologically, an ego is something else. An ego psychological is an ability to think, ability to plan, ability to solve problems, ability to foresee the consequences before you do something. You are consciously aware. You can control yourself. That is ego in psychology. Lastly, we have what? The superego. The superego refers to conscience. Super refers to conscience. Conscience, yes. Superego refers to conscience. The superego is like a judge or a censor. If someone does not adhere to society standards for acceptable behavior, the superego allows a person to experience guilty feeling or anxiety. When you're about to do something wrong, you experience guilt, meaning that is superego. Super ego is influenced by the standards of the world, of the society, knowing the thin line between what is wrong and what is right. It's to do with your moral standards. That is super ego. Unlike ego has to do with the consequences. You apply your thinking, planning, and problem solving. But this one, it goes deep as your spiritual aspects. Yeah, some people, they say you do something wrong, they say you don't have conscience. You don't have conscience. You don't care about other people. So super ego is all about a judge, what is wrong and right, what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. It's a guilty feeling you experience when you're about to do something wrong or when you've done something wrong. It's a high level of anxiety. That is Fred. That's how Fred defines personality. That we learn these things as we live. They don't come naturally. We learn as we grow up. We learn as we experience them. It doesn't happen overnight. We learn as time passes. Then moving on to another theorist. That is the behaviorist approach. The behaviorist approach is part of personality as well. They say behaviorists agree with Fred. You see, behaviorists agree with Fred that the first 6 years of life are crucial for personality development. But for different reasons, instead of looking at psychosexual urges and fixation, they see childhood as a time for active drive, powerful rewards, punishment, as well as frustration. Social reinforcement based on praise, attention, and approval is also important. These forces are believed to shape the core of personality through learning. According to behaviorists, they say, yes, Freud is correct about personality, sexual drive, ego instinct. But according to behaviorists, they say, instead of looking for psychosexual urges and fixation, they say the childhood as a time of active drive, they say during childhood, that's a time on how certain behavior can be influenced by the parents, the teachers. In short, they say the children learn how to behave. You need to teach your children how to learn to behave, to influence their behavior. Don't just accept that it's their nature. They are not conscious at what they are doing. But we can teach the kids on how to behave. That is behaviorist theories. We can influence the behavior of children at young age. We can teach them how to handle frustration. We can punish unacceptable behaviors. It's a social reinforcement based on praise. We can praise when they do something good. We pay attention to their well-being. We approve good behavior. These forces are believed to shape the core of personality through learning. It's teaching. We can teach our kids on how to behave. According to social learning theory, the processes of identification and imitation contribute greatly to personality development. Remember, children learn through imitation. When they see you doing something, they're likely to imitate it because in their mind, what they are doing is good. When you take your pen, you write something, they'll take the pen and write something. They would like to do it as well. When you cook, they would like to cook as well. So they'll do role plays, they cook. You need to be careful on what you do in front of children because everything that they see is good. When you beat someone, they learn that beating someone is a form of showing your aggressiveness, your aggression. They beat someone. Identification refers to a person's emotional attachment to someone they admire. Children, for example, identify with a parent or someone who provides love and care. When the mother says, nice girls do not climb trees, she serves as a role model. In this way, shapes her daughter's personality. So you need to identify what is wrong and right and show your children. Identification encourages imitation or a desire to act like the admired person. According to behaviorists, many male and female traits are the result of children's attempt to imitate same-sex parent with whom they identify with. Imitation. Yes, in TV, there's parental guidance. That whatever that they see, they need to be guided. That is behaviorist theorist. What influences individuals' behavior can be shaped through learning. You need to start from a young age. You shape their learning. Okay, let's move on. Other theories that shape individuals' behavior. Other theories that shape individual behavior is what we call humanist theory. Let me open the slide. Other aspect that shape the individual's behavior is human theorist. Humanist approach. The humanist approach, humanism focus on human experience, problems, potential, and ideas. By who? Carl Rogers. Rogers believes that the best way to understand behavior is from the internal frame of reference of the individual. That is Carl Rogers. So know how to differentiate these theories. Humanist is Carl Rogers. They say humanism focuses on human experience, problems, potential, and ideas. According to Carl Rogers, Rogers believes that the best way to understanding behavior is through the form of internal frame of reference. Internal frame of reference is internally. Your experiences, what you believe in, who are you as an individual? They say the main aspect of Rogers' theory is the concept of self, a flexible and a changing perception. The influence of self, the concept of self, the flexible, changing perception of personal identity. The self is made up of experiences that fit, like we said, influences the way you see things, the way you do things, who you are is unique. The self-concept is influenced by what your perception, your own nature, unique qualities, typical behavior. Much of the behavior is a result of the attempt to keep balance between the self and that is Carl Rogers. Believe that who you are influence the way you handle things. When you choose a career, that you have a passion in this, you like doing this, this is a calling. That is your self-concept. That's who you are. Then Carl Rogers says, I'm just summarizing this, there's a congruent personality and incongruent personality. Congruent personality, they say, they are admitted to awareness and contribute to gradual changes in the self because the subjective nature of the self-concept may not be entirely consistent with the experience. Okay, let me summarize it so that you'll understand it. There's a congruent self and the incongruent self. The congruent self is when you say you like working with people, we need to see it in practice. You like working with people, you don't like working alone. Meaning, as soon as you work with people, you need to see it, that there is a love, there is passion in working with people, there's love in working with children. You like to become a primary school teacher, you like to become an educational psychologist, you need to see it in your place. You need to see it the way you handle children. It means that we need to see the congruency. Does your self-concept, the way you see it, does your self-concept relate to reality? If it does not relate, we'll say your personality is incongruent. But if it relates, it's congruent. Your self-concept needs to relate to reality. You see, if you tell people that you are a therapist, you are sympathetic, you are understanding. However, in reality, you can see, no, this person is something else. Is not fit to become a psychologist, not fit to work with people. That is what? Incongruency, meaning your personality doesn't justify the way you handle situations. Your self-concept doesn't justify the way you handle situations. That's a thin line between congruency and incongruency. Here. So humanist theory has to do with what as well? Maslow theory. For us to understand humanist theory, we need to consider the theory by Maslow. Maslow is a popular theory. We also studied about Maslow under human motivation. Under human motivation, we studied about Maslow theory. So 4.2, Maslow and self-actualization. Maslow says for people to achieve their ultimate goal, for people to achieve what they desire in their hearts, they need to satisfy what? Satisfy their physiological needs, safety needs, need for love and belonging, need for esteem, need for self-actualization. For people to achieve their ultimate goal, you need to satisfy your physiological needs. Your physiological needs are what? Need for food, need for sex, need for water. Those are your basic needs. Safety needs. Am I secured emotionally? Need for security. Does my job provide security for me? Am I living in a secure environment? The need for love. You can have everything, but there is a need for love. You need people around you who will support you, who show love, who will encourage you. If you lack those things, it's difficult to achieve what you desire. Need for self-esteem. Without self-confidence, without your self-esteem, chances are you won't even achieve your ultimate goal. Then they give us guidelines. Maslow give us guidelines on how to achieve these things. If you want to develop your potential and live a more creative life, you might consider the following as a beginning. They say, 1, be willing to change. Be willing to change. If people tell you that there's something wrong, learn to listen and be willing to change. Ask yourself, am I living the way that is satisfying to me? If not, be prepared to make changes. This does not necessarily refer to physical aspects of your life, but rather the way you see things. Learn to change. If something challenges you, learn to do self-reflection and change. 2, take responsibility. Do not blame others for your shortcomings. Examine your motives. Now and again, it's good to revise your plan. Learn to revise your plan. Change. Introspect yourself. Do not distort emotion to fit your way of seeing things. Try to see yourself as others. Try to see yourself as others. 5, make use of positive experiences. Don't only focus on negative aspects of your life, but also focus on what? Mostly positive aspects of your life. Repeat experiences that have given you pleasure, feeling, renewal, humility. Be prepared to do things differently. Get involved. Give some attention to problems outside yourself. Assess your progress. Look at yourself, and if necessary, renew your efforts. They say, if you are bored with something, see it as a challenge and do something about it. You have an opportunity for self-entrenchment. So normally, this question may come as ways of developing potential. Multiple choice question, they say there are different ways on how to develop your potential. Then they mentioned maybe 10 of these. Then they say to you, choose the most correct answers. We give you 10 options, or we give you these 8. They say, choose the most correct answers. In the option, we say all of the above, none of the above, only, let's say only 1, 3, and 5 are correct, or only 4 is correct. We play with options. So you need to know that be willing to change is part of developing yourselves. Taking responsibility is part of developing yourself. Experiencing honestly and being direct is part of developing yourself. Making use of positive experience, be prepared to do things differently, getting involved, access to progress. At times, we might say, take responsibility, but the explanation of taking responsibility, we might phrase it differently to check if you understand the meaning of taking responsibility. Make use of positive thoughts. We might change this to determine if you do understand. To determine if you do understand what we mean by making use of positive experiences. We play around certain words. Moving on to, we are dealing with theories. Moving on to the next theory of personality, that is biological. We haven't touched biological. Let's move on to biological aspects. Biological approach. The biological approach in personality. There are many theories who believe that heredity shape personality. We have mentioned traits and genetics. There are many theories who believe that heredity shape personality. Remember heredity. Heredity refers to inherited biological characteristics. This view is based on the idea that we have inborn behavioral tendencies that differ from one person to another. This view is based on the idea that we have inborn behavioral tendencies that differ from one person to another, influenced by biological characteristics. Biological characteristics inherited, it could be genes from your parents, something that you have been inherited, meaning that is physical aspects. They say support for this view comes from the studies of newborn babies who clearly showed differences in temperaments. Some are emotionally flexed. For example, they are peaceful and calm, adjust easily to changes in routine, while others are emotionally reactive. For example, they cry a lot. They cry a lot. They say, hues become distressed by changes in routine. You may wonder how these early differences in temperament contribute to the development of their personality. In short, children differ. We find some are emotional, some are sensitive, some are hyper. From the young age, the way that they portray their temperament differ. Temperament can influence how the infant responds to other people. In some way, how others respond to it. For example, an infant who cries a lot may demand attention from others. Infants differ. There are those who are easily, there are those who cry a lot. That is their temperament. It's due to heredity or how they see things, their sensitivity. Whereas some infants, babies, kids, it's easily to take them to other person. When they see other people, it's much easier for them to feel pleasure. That is true to what? Temperaments. They differ. They are introverts and extroverts. They are born with it. Then we continue to say, a theorist by the name of Haynes believed that personality was determined largely by the person's genes. Personality is influenced by person's genes. When we speak of genes again, we speak of physical, biological, inner being. The theory is based on the idea that individual differences in physiological functioning results in some people being more easy conditioned than others, more easy conditioned by others. This influences the personality traits that people acquire through the conditioning process. For example, he suggested that introverts have highly level of physiological arousal and are more easily conditioned than extroverts. You see, they say introverts have high level of physiological arousal. Introvert, when an introvert, normally before you do things, you think critically, you're more cautious. You think deep before doing things. Hence, you experience what? They say physiological arousal. You mostly experience anxiety. For instance, let's look at a case whereby in primary school, intermediate school, high school, now and again, you are required to stand in front of people and do presentations, do orals. You'll find introverts find it difficult to stand in front of people. Why? Because they think a lot. Once you think a lot, you experience anxiety. Once you experience anxiety, you find yourself that you can't present. When you experience anxiety, meaning there's too much tension in your body. Heart rate is high, brain rate becomes high because you're more conscious, you're nervous. That's what they're trying to say by here. They say, for example, he suggested that introverts have high level of physiological arousal. They are referring to the inner being of the person. Their stress level is high compared to the extroverts. That is biological, that we differ as people. Then the last one, under theories, we have African perspective. African perspective, that's the last theory for today in relation to theories of, personality. Let's open it. African perspective. African perspective, we have collectivism and individualism. So collectivism is based on African perspective. They say, first the community, then individual. I am because we are. Most of this happened back in the day. That phrase, Ubuntu, umuntu, muntu ngabantu. We are because of others. I am because of others. Umuntu, muntu ngabantu. I am because of others. That is an African perspective. They believe in what? Collectivism. They say, first the community, then individual. I am because we are. They have a high regard of the group electives and the importance of a group above the individual. Remember, the way Bushmen used to live, the way Khoikhoi, the San people used to live. You wake up in the morning to go and hunt, whatever that they hunt, all the community, they need to share amongst the community. You'll find most in the townships, also in rural areas, when a certain family experience death of their loved ones, the community will come to support that family. That is an African perspective. They refer it to collectivism. They have a high regard of the group of people, a high regard for group electives, the importance of group above individual. They have a dependence on other people, strong group pressure. Individual initiative is not appreciated, but good human relationships are a priority. They are cooperative. They work together. Duties towards the community are emphasized. Values such as friendliness, helpfulness, hostility, patience, brotherhood have high regard. This is collectivism, which is influenced by African philosophy, African perspective. Hence, as a psychologist, you learn about African perspective and you learn about European perspective. You need to know the difference between the two, collectivism and individualism, so that when the clients come to you and say, I'm experiencing a challenge due to the fact that 1, 2, 3, you need not to view the person as a Western or only African. You look at both aspects. What kind of person is this? When people come for marriage counseling, you consider their background, their cultural background as well. That is collectivism. It's based on an African background. Same applies to individualism. They say first is the individuals, then the community comes after. We are because I am. That is individualism. They put themselves first. They have a high regard of individual elective compared to the group. Individual independency. The opinion of the group does not matter, but my opinion matters. That is individualism. They put themselves first. Individual initiative is high regarded. Individual initiative is high regarded, not a group initiative. Personal achievement is more important than attention to the community. Competitiveness is more important under individualism. The rights of individuals are emphasized. Values such as formality, independency, and self-sufficient are highly regarded. You see, values such as formality, independency, and self-sufficient are highly regarded compared to collectivism. That is African perspective. So know the difference between the two. As a psychologist, you should know the difference between the two. When people come to you, you consider their background. You ask them questions. You don't ask them direct, what's your background, what you believe in, but you have a way of saying things when they communicate. That, okay, this one is influenced by his or her cultural background. This one is more open to individuality. You consider those aspects. Okay, guys, for now we are done with personality. Human nervous system. For you to understand PYC 1501, you need to understand human nervous system. So I will move quick. I will start by, for you to, human nervous system has to do with the transportation of information from one place to another. Transportation of information from one place to another. When I touch you, information, you feel my touch. As I'm talking to you, you can hear the waves from your eardrum. They go straight to your mind for interpretation. That is human nervous system. You can't live without human nervous system. Human nervous system act as the core of our lives when transporting information, when receiving information, and when expressing yourself. That is human nervous system. One, for us to be able to transport one information from one place to another, we make use of what? This structure, the neurons. Our body consists of neurons, millions of neurons in our body that transport information. Neurons act as their nerves. It's more like wires in our body. We transport information because of these neurons. We have millions of neurons that are connected for transportation. Let's go through it. These are dendrites. So this is the structure. We have millions of the structure in our body which transport information. This is a dendrite, which is a hair-like structure. When I touch you from your skin, or when I talk to you, you receive information. It goes straight to the dendrites. From the dendrites, it moves to the nucleus, the cell body. The information moves to the cell body through the axon hillock, straight to, this is an axon. You can see that the axon is myelin sheet. The myelin sheet covers the axon and it determines the speed. Your axon is myelin sheet. Myelin sheet determines the speed. If your axon is myelin sheet, meaning the information moves fast, they determine the speed. The information moves fast through this process until it reaches what? The button, axon terminal. From axon terminal, there will be another neuron here, which is connects the other neurons. The neurons are connected like chain from one neuron to the next. This will be the first neuron that received information and is connected from the other neurons like a chain. Chain is connected from one segment to the next. Without these neurons, meaning you won't be able to transport information. We transport information because of these neurons. The neurons act as the most important aspects of your body. So moving on, we have what? The nature of impulse. The nature of impulse. The nature of impulse conduction. The nature of impulse conduction, it says, for information to move from one place to another, there's nature of impulse conduction. Nature of impulse conduction neurons. The neuron is electrically charged. I mentioned that the neuron is electrical. Why do they say the neurons are electrically charged? The neuron is the structure that I was showing you. They say they're electrically charged. They're electrically charged because there are fluids around the neuron. Inside and outside the neuron, there are fluids which influence the movement. The membrane of the neuron forms a barrier between the inside and outside the neuron. Meaning, outside the neuron, there are fluids, and inside there are fluids. Outside the neuron, there are fluids, and inside the neuron, they are electrically charged. They say the fluid contains various kinds of chemicals, particles, some of which are ions because they are electrically charged. They are ions because they are electrically charged. Remember, you have a neuron which transports information. The neuron, what you need to know, they are electrically charged. Why they're electrically charged? Because there are fluids inside and outside of the neuron. There are also what? Ions. There are positive sodium ions and negative sodium ions inside and outside the neuron. There are positive ions and negative ions. The positive ions, we say they are sodium ions, while the negative ions, they are potassium ions. And those ions are what? They are not equal inside and outside. They say because these ions are uneven distributed on either side of the cell membrane. Because these ions are uneven distributed on either side of the cell membrane. So these ions, they are not equal inside and outside. These ions, they are not equal inside and outside. You will find that positive ions are more on the outside, whereas negative ions are more on the inside. They say, therefore, the neuron is electrically charged because there's a potential difference between the inside and outside of the neuron. There's a potential difference between the outside and inside of the ions. I hope we understand one another. Let me repeat quick. We have neurons, the structure that I showed you. Inside and outside, there are fluids. Inside and outside, there are fluids. Then there's a membrane which forms a barrier between the inside and outside. These fluids can move inside and outside because of the membrane. The membrane is a spongy-like substance which allows the fluids to move inside and outside. And there are ions which are electrically charged. There are ions. What are those ions? We have a positive ions, which is sodium. We have a negative ion, which is potassium. And both these ions are not equal inside and outside. There's no 50-50. They are unequal distributed inside and outside. Sodium ions, they are mostly outside, whereas negative ions, they are mostly, well, inside. That's a core. That's what you need to know. They say, therefore, the neurons in this case are distributed unequally. Therefore, the neurons is electrically charged because there's potentially difference between the inside and outside. They say there's a potentially difference between outside and inside. This is what I'm explaining, that positive ions are outside, negative ions are inside, meaning there's a potential difference between the inside and outside. Then we go to resting membrane. The resting membrane, they say if the ions were distributed equally, now that the ions are not equal inside and outside, however, if the ions were distributed equally, if there was 50-50 inside and outside of the ions, there will be no electrically charge and no potential difference. If they're equal inside and outside the ions, there won't be electrically charged or no potential difference. However, they say before an impulse can fire, I touch you right now, or as I'm talking to you, the information needs to move from one place to the next. The information needs to move from your eardrum to your nerves, via the spinal cord to the brain. We call that process, they say, before an impulse can fire, there must be a condition of readiness in the neuron, which is determined by the resting membrane potential. For you to receive information and transport it, there must be a resting membrane potential. For you to transport information, there must be resting membrane potential. As soon as there's a stimulus, my voice, as I'm talking to you, we can say that is an impulse. As soon as there's the impulse, there must be a condition of readiness. Your neurons need to be ready to receive information now and again. I talk to you right now, suddenly you'll hear someone knocks from your door, your phone can ring. For you to receive that information, there must be a resting membrane potential, which is the readiness. Your neurons need to be ready to receive information. When the neuron is in a condition of readiness, when the neurons are ready, the fluid inside is negative relative to the outside. When the neurons are ready, it means that your outside of the neurons are positive, like I said, sodium, and your inside of the neurons are negative. That is readiness. As soon as you receive information, that changes. They say to you, then the resting potential means negative inside, is what I'm saying, and positive outside. The cell membrane thus plays an important role in creating and maintaining potential difference between the positive and negative. The membrane that I've mentioned, that we have the membrane to transport information from the inside and outside, to transport the fluid from the inside and outside. The resting potential membrane is an electrically charge brought by the difference between the positive and negative. Okay, let's move to the point straight. You receive information, the resting membrane potential determines the readiness. As soon as the neuron is ready to transport information from one place to another, what happens to the neuron? It opens up. It opens up for the fluid to move inside and outside. It opens up for the fluid to move inside and outside. They say here, the resting membrane potential occurs when the neuron is negative, polarized. Meaning that now and again, your neurons are in relaxes, particularly when you are asleep. Your neurons are relaxed. They are what? They are resting. They are inactive. For a neuron to be active, you need to be triggered by something. Let's assume that you are sleeping, then I call your name or touch you. You wake up, meaning your neurons were resting, were inactive, were in a polarized state. But now that I touch you, instantly you wake up. Therefore, when there's a resting potential, the neuron is ready to receive information. You see? As soon as I wake you up, the neurons are ready to receive messages because you are aware now, in a form of electric impulse. To conduct these impulses along what? The axon. I showed you the axon. Information moves from the neurons along the axon. That's the core what you need to know about the neurons. You need to know their purpose. The purpose of the neuron is to transport information from one place to the next. You need to know that the neurons are electrically charged. There is a fluid inside and outside of the what? Of the neuron. There's a fluid inside and outside of the neuron. When the neuron is in a resting phase, you know that there's more of sodium ions outside, which are positive, and more of negative ions, which is potassium, inside the neuron. They are not equal. They say they are unevenly distributed on either side, meaning they are not equal. Either way, they are not balanced. Until you receive information, until the stimulus, whether I call your name or touch you, or I'm talking to right now, that's when the membrane opens up. The fluid will move from inside and outside. As soon as something triggers your mind, something triggers your nerve, there will be a change of the fluids. Some will go in, some will go out. Move up the ions. Some will go in, some they go out. That's how the body functions. That's how the neuron functions. They're electrically charged, fluid inside and outside, ions inside and outside. So they are more concentrated outside, proteins are more concentrated where? Inside. That is the movement of the ions. So that's the core. You need to know the purpose of it, as well as how does the fluids move from one place to another. The movement of fluids, one place to another. Okay, we spoke about the neurons that is transport information from one place to another. How do they transport information from one place to another? Remember, you have your nerves, you have your spinal cord, you have your brain. This is your spinal cord. Around the spinal cord, there are nerves. There are nerves surrounding a spinal cord. Imagine a pole. Imagine an electricity pole. Electricity pole, for you to get light, there are wires within an electrical pole that transports electricity from one place so that the light can switch on. It's a pole. The pole is the spinal cord. Inside it, there are wires from the ground to make the lights switch on. Same applies to the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord, and around the spinal cord, there are neurons, the nerves, that assist to transport information from one place to another, to the brain. This is the brain, spinal cord. The brain interprets information, transports it back to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, you react, you act. That's what's happened. The brain is protected by bones, which is a skull. The spinal cord is protected by vertebrae. These are the vertebrae, the dura mater, the anach, and the pia mater. Protects the brain, the spinal cord, so that you won't be affected. And there are nerves around it. For instance, I touch you right now. You receive information from your senses. I touch you, receive information from the senses. From the senses, information goes straight to your dendrites. The structure that I showed you goes straight to your dendrites. From dendrites, the information moves from there. That's neuron structure, the axon. The neurons are connected. One neuron to the next, they're more like a chain. The chain, they move through where? Through your spinal cord. They take information to your brain. The information moves from the spinal cord. Spinal cord takes information to your brain. I touch you, then you realize that I touch you. You turn back to me to ask, why are you touching me? Meaning the information is interpreted from the brain that someone is touching me. The brain responds. How does this respond? Goes back to the spinal cord. It tells the nerves. It says it tells your body to act. By acting, perhaps you look at the person back or you talk. That's how it happens. I talk to you. You receive your information from your senses. From your senses, go via the neurons. From the dendrites, axon, it connects from one neuron to the next. Information moves via the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, go to your brain. You're trying to interpret the information. Yes, now again, I will ask you if you do understand. Meaning you're interpreting the information from your brain. From your brain, you start opening your mic. Say, I don't understand human nervous system. Like in the beginning, I asked you which chapter to explain. You said human nervous system, meaning I asked you a question. The information started from your senses through your eardrum. Information was transported to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, you went to the brain. Then you started thinking about it. Then Kiabeto says, say, I don't understand human nervous system, meaning the information was interpreted to the brain because you thought about it. It goes via the spinal cord again. Spinal cord will tell you your body to react. How does your body react? You started typing. I don't understand human nervous system. That's the relationship between the brain, the nerves, and the spinal cord. Yeah, it's a long chapter. We cannot understand interpret everything, but I think now we have a core on how to study human nervous system. You look at the nerves, the function of the neurons, the fluids inside and outside. You need to know that they are electrically charged. They are connected from one neuron to the next. You have the spinal cord to transport information. So I think now you can manage to break it down, the important aspects. Check what do they mean by organs moving in and out. Yes, for now we are done. Okay, thanks guys. For now, we are done. All the best on your exams. Go back human nervous system. There are slides about human nervous system. Remember, presentation was done again long ago for human nervous system, 2 sessions. Go back to where you find the classes and download. You can also download the slides again where I explain human nervous system. Thanks very much. Thanks for attending, guys. Thanks for all the best on your exam. Relax. Use your assignments as a guide. Do your assignments again. Do both the assignments, first semester assignment and second semester assignments. That will help you to prepare for exam. You might be lucky they repeat the questions. Now again, the questions are repeated. However, they use a different English, different phases. So I always advise my students to use both first semester assignment and second semester assignments. In that way, you will master the exam. Do both assignments. Thanks very much for attending. It was fruitful. Thanks very much. The recording are available UNISA Gauteng Region YouTube site. Go to UNISA Gauteng Region YouTube site. You'll find all the slides. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming. I'm done.